This time on Finnegan's Garage, we're finally doing a burnout in J-Lo. Hey friends, how you doing? I'm back, ready for some more fun. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you something. This channel now has a t-shirt and a logo, and it's awesome. It's my new favorite t-shirt. Want to see it? Check it out. There's the logo on the front. Hulkamania! There's the stuff on the back. We've got zip ties, beer, drag racing, fire, all that. I love this shirt. As always, I buy the best t-shirts I possibly can. These are the most comfortable things I wear. And if you want one, head on over to fsmgarage.com right now and get yours. Buying one of these not only keeps you from being naked and going to jail when you're in public, but it also supports the channel, which I appreciate. Now, what are we doing today? We're gonna work on J-Lo, because Lord knows the truck makes plenty of power. It will tow my 12,000 pound trailer up any mountain in America, but I can't leave well enough alone. She's got a few issues we need to be working on. We're gonna do that. Number one, as you saw before, if you've watched this video series, the backup camera is falling off the truck. So I bought an Edge Products billet aluminum license plate frame with a backup camera built into it. Let me do my best Vanna White here. Woo! There's a license plate frame. I also got this. Apparently that was holding that up. Edge Evolution CTS2. This is more than a power programmer. Yes, it has multiple levels of power. It will make my truck faster. It will make it tow more, which is awesome. But it does more than that. This is a performance meter. You want to know 0 to 60? You want to know quarter mile? This will do that. You want to control some electric accessories in your truck, like a train horn or airbags or whatever. This will do that. Coolest thing about this, though, is the expandable accessory system. If you look real close, there's a sensor with a cord, there's a plug, there's a plug. You can keep piggybacking things off of other things in this. Simplifies the wiring, saves weight, it's awesome. Here's what you get. Most importantly, and the first thing I want to notice, comes with zip ties. Are these the good ones? I don't know. But I just appreciate the fact that this product comes with zip ties. Comes with a suction cup mount. You can put it on your windshield. I also think there's an adapter for the touchscreen where you can mount this in the existing gauge pod that's on the dash of my Silverado. I'll have to check that out. This is the cable that'll connect the unit to the OBD2 port in the truck. That's where all the magic happens. This allows it to talk and listen to everything that's happening with the ECU. This is a USB mini to standard size adapter. You'll use that to plug this into your laptop to give it software updates. A couple of badges you can put on your truck to let people know what's inside so they can steal it. And the all-important, and maybe I'll use it, instruction manual. First things first, before I take out the existing programmer, I'm going to put the truck back to stock. Hear that? That's the compressor running because the air tank is empty. Now, let's put her back to stock. Return to stock. Okay, there we go. Now this unit, you cannot change the power level on the fly. And you can't do that with the CTS2 either. But to be honest, I really need to change it on the fly, so I'm cool with that. Yeah, we're gonna be here a little bit. So I'll be back when it's done. Still preparing. Okay, while it's programming, the screen goes red, and when it's done, it goes back to green, let you know that you're all good. So now we're done. I can shut off the ignition, and I can remove the programmer. Now the good news about that whole deal is As you can ignore some of the other shoddy wiring in this truck, which I need to fix, the programmer just plugs into the OBD2 port. And so I just have to snake the wiring out of there. I'll either suction cup the new screen right to the dash, or I'll use the pod. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Got the Evolution out, just plugs in there, and the pod clips under the dash bezel and then attaches with Velcro right there. So that's out of the way. Got the cord out of the way. This cable here was connected to the Evolution's OBD2 cable. I'm going to remove it now because this goes to an EGT probe that's in the exhaust system of the truck, but it has the old style connector on it. While I'm doing that, I'm going to give you some tips on how to drill and tap your exhaust manifold while saving a bit of time in the process. What we're doing now is removing the passenger side inner fender from the truck. Once that's out of the way, we can access the exhaust manifold, which is where we're going to drill and tap a port for our EGT. And it looks like someone's already been in here. Probably doing maintenance things like changing the fuel filter, the oil filter. One of those things is on the side of the truck. And if I were a smart man, I would have bought a new fuel filter or oil filter or whatever is on this side of the truck to change while we have it apart, since half of these clips are broken and brittle and we're probably going to break the other half doing this job here. But I'm not that smart and I did not buy those parts, so all we'll do is put the EGT in, put it back together, and then have to disassemble it probably a month from now when it's time to actually change that stuff. Yeah. Now if you're doing this job at home and your truck is similar to mine, meaning it's been lowered, now is a good time to inspect the suspension. Pieces like the ball joints, which are high wear items in a lowered truck, and anything else that you don't look at on a regular basis that could kill you. Okay? Safety first. Oh, yeah. Fuel filter. Now would have been a good time to do that. There are many videos on YouTube right now that will tell you where to put the EGT probe. And in fact, Edge Performance has its own video that whether you have a Cummins, a Power Stroke, a random light coming into frame while you're talking, whether you got any of that going on, it will tell you where you can put the probe. And according to Edge, the EGT should go right here. Now that video doesn't say why that's the location. I'm guessing it's probably the easiest to mount it. But what I'm wondering is, in all of these other videos, nobody really talks about it. What happens if you just go drill in this right now and tap it, put metal into the exhaust, fire the truck up, and all of that heads for the turbo? That doesn't seem very cool. It seems like I should be removing this manifold, drilling it and tapping it, cleaning it out, then putting it back together. But that just seems like a can of worms waiting to happen also, because everything's rusted. I need the EGT probe, please.
Is that it?
Yes.
All right.
Look at you. Look at you.
Not just a pretty face, people.
This is our exhaust gas temperature probe. 1/8 inch NPT thread. That's what we're shooting for here. So I'm going to punch the exhaust manifold. Here's two different kinds of punches, in case you were wondering. This is a click punch. The way this works is you literally just push down on it, hear it click, and it marks the metal. No one's ever going to notice that. This is a standard old caveman punch. It requires a hammer. I like this one a lot better because it actually punched deeper in some metals. So I'm going to mark the exhaust manifold with the punch. Then I'm going to drill it with a 29/64 drill bit. Then I'm going to tap it with my high-end, not Chinese, made in America Matco 1/8 27 NPT tap. And while I'm doing all of this, I'm going to trust you to start the vehicle not in gear and never put it in gear the entire time it's running while I'm drilling, because according to my buddy KJ at Diesel Power Magazine, that's the trick to drilling this while it's assembled and not having the metal chips go into the turbo. Apparently, as I'm drilling it, when I punch through with the engine running, it's just going to blow the chips back out into my face. But I have shades on, so, you know.
So get in, start up, put it in gear, and rev it.
Except those other two things that'll kill me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a nice flat area. I like that. Let's go there. This toolkit and I go way back. My first week on the job at Hot Rod Magazine, way back in 2009, they were auctioning off everything in the shop because I think they had just gotten sponsored by Snap-on. And so John Kappa and I got into a bidding war over this exact tap and die set from Matco, and I scored it for 40 bucks. Yeah. And it has served me well. It has all of the right drill bits, clearly labeled, both letters and numbers, and a full set of metric and SAE taps and dies with a few pipe taps, including the one I need. 1/8 inch pipe. That's what we need for this job. All right, homie, go ahead and fire it up. Okay, I'm gonna film right in here. I think that worked. As soon as the drill bit broke through, it blew all kinds of crap in my face. That's a solid trick, KJ. Thank you. Now all we got to do is get the tap out, fire it up again, and as I'm threading the hole, run it again to blow even more stuff in my face. So here's a tip. Normally,
Just a tip.
just the tip. Normally, when I'm tapping holes, I'll use a tap handle like this to hold the tap as I'm spinning it and threading the hole. But this time, I'm going to use this awesome socket adapter so that I can use my ratchet for those hard to reach places where that handle won't fit, like what I'm working on now. Cool, huh? You're impressed, I can tell. All right, go for it, Matt. When you're tapping holes, you want to rotate the tap clockwise. You'll feel it tighten up. And before it gets too tight and breaks the tap, you want to back off. That'll break the chip off in the thread. Unwind it a little bit. You can even completely remove it if you want before threading it in clockwise again and going further. So that right there is getting tight. I don't want to break the tap, so we're going to back up. Clear the chips out of the threads. And then go forward again. Most taps will be labeled right on the tap, on the shank, what size drill bit you need to drill for the hole. But if you're unsure, most local hardware stores will have a chart you can just grab off the counter by the cash register and take home with you. Or you can Google the answer. You can literally ask, what size drill bit do I need for an 1/8 pipe tap? Cool, man. Done. Now we install our EGT, hook it up to the programmer, put all this back together, and go test drive. There's our new EGT probe. Follow the wires. Goes to an adapter, and then goes to our EAS plug. These are stackable. And then, out of that plug, to that 6-pin connector, that goes to the harness, to our CTS2. Come down here, Jones. Alright. That goes in there. Threads on like so. And then, this is ultimately going to end up on the other side of the truck. So we're just going to rotate this. Like that. And we'll route the wire straight up.
Have you wrapped that at all, going across the engine like that?
Nah, it's steel braided.
Oh,
It's pretty sturdy.
the
first, I'd say 4 feet of this is steel braided, and it should last. That's not to say you want to just go zip tie it to the exhaust manifold, but if you did, I think at least 8 or 9 seconds it will last. So you got that going for you.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a good product here that Ed puts out, huh?
Why, yes, it is. Oh, you sad man. All right, so we'll get up top here. Find a nice clean way to route that in there so that it looks cool. And by cool, I mean hidden. Because, you know, sleeper. Mounted. I did use the suction cup mount, but I also left the Velcro on the dash just in case I decide I want to use the old pod again instead of the suction cup. Cable, super easy to route. Just goes down the dashboard there. And do a little more tucking here. Here is our expandable accessory system cable. This is going from the EGT probe, and it'll go right in line with the OBD2 cable. There is our cable wrapped up neatly behind the fuse panel. You can see our cable plugs right into the OBD2 port. Other than powering the backup camera and connecting the video feed to the CTS2, there is nothing left to wire. It's a very easy, very clean, very simple install that you can do at home. Backup camera. This thing will work at night. These are LEDs. One cable out through the back. This is going to fix to the existing license plate mounting holes. And then I run this cable, and hopefully it's long enough, all the way to the front of the truck. Let us trim our license plate. These are just tin snips. You can buy these at your local hardware store. We are trimmed. Now our cable fits. My advice to you, if you're installing this, is to not use the factory screws. These are too easy to remove with a screwdriver by anybody walking around the street. You know, this is a good chunk of change. Might as well keep it there. It comes with metric bolts that sit flush in here that you'd have to reach from the back side to remove the nuts to steal this thing. So it's kind of a safety device. Use the bolts that come with it. It's less likely someone's going to rip off your backup camera. If you're a detailing nerd, now is the time to clean your back bumper. You can see how much filth is there when the license plate is removed. I am not a detailing nerd, so we'll just be skipping that maneuver. There's a couple of set screws here. Comes with an Allen wrench you can use to re-angle this. License plate is mounted. I'm now in the cab of the truck, and the reason I'm up front is I believe it's way easier to work from the dash backwards when hooking one of these up. This is the only part that goes with the license plate frame. One cable, one connector. This mess, however, is what goes up front. We've got to ground it, we've got to give it power, and this needs to plug into either our CTS2 or my head unit in the dash. So running this mess through the chassis and through the floor is way more difficult than running that one cable, that one connector. So the instruction manual recommends a couple different ways for powering the backup camera. They give you these taps right here that'll go into fuses. They're both ATC style fuses. One is a standard size, one is a mini. And what Edge wants you to do is to probe the fuse box and find a fuse that has power when the ignition key is on and the vehicle is running, but no power when the ignition key is off, otherwise the camera stays on, and then eventually kills your battery. I got my handy dandy digital multimeter here. We'll look for some power. Okay, that fuse has no power. I'll turn the key on. And now we've got power. And we got a pretty dead battery. I haven't driven the truck in a while, and yep, battery's dying. The other thing you can do is probe the wiring in the truck and find the wire that has power when the shifter is in reverse and the reverse lights on the truck are lit up. Easiest way to do that is obviously to go straight to the tail light, but the wire to power the backup camera is up here, right here, so you have to look at the front of the truck to make it easy to wire. Well, in my truck, which is a 2006 Chevrolet Silverado 3500 diesel, it's in the fuse box, about halfway up in a tan connector, and it is a light green wire. Here's a tip. If you pull up the sill plate and pull up the carpet, there's almost always a rubber grommet in a late model vehicle to run the wires through. See? Slice that open, run your wires through. No worries about chafing, having wires get frayed, grounding out, blowing fuses, having issues. If you're looking for a place to route your cable, you might be tempted to run it along the frame rail, and you could do that, but that comes really close to the gas tank and suspension components, and the odds are good the cable's going to get pinched. And I don't know how the fleet side trucks are, but the dualies have a harness with a plastic protector that runs right along where the dually fender meets the bedside, on the outside of the frame, right between the tire. And you can run your cable right through that. This is one of those moments where you have to decide whether or not you're about that zip tie life. I am. Now mine's missing the plastic plugs that hold it up to the body, but you get the idea here. A couple of well-placed zip ties, and our cable is away from the tire and anything else that might harm it. Here's the connection at the back of the license plate. And I'm only showing you this because obviously moisture can get to this. Drive in the rain, you know, have a boat, back into a lake to launch the boat, whatever you're doing. But Edge Products includes this nifty tape here that you can use to seal it with. It's not just electrical tape. It's kind of like butyl rubber, I think. And anyway, you wrap it around there, squeeze it tight, and that will keep out the moisture. Okay, I want to show you something super cool. The instructions are kind of vague for the backup camera. You know, they tell you to go to the fuse box for power, and I thought that was weird, and I thought, wouldn't I want to go to a wire going to the reverse lights so that every time I put this thing in reverse I can see backwards? But what I didn't realize is that when you first fire this up, it automatically shows you what's behind you so you can back up. And then it's going to shut off, right? And I was sitting there going, God, you know, I'm going to have to touch the screen every time I want to back up, you know? I don't have to do that. Watch. It's going to disappear, okay? Then I'm going to throw this thing in reverse. And it's going to know. It automatically knows that I'm in reverse. And now it knows that I'm in drive. And I forgot, that's because everything that's coming out of that OBD2 port, this thing already knows. All the trans functions, all the engine functions, it knows. Alright, so currently, that's what we're seeing. Engine coolant temp, boost, inlet air temp, battery voltage, RPM, mile an hour. I want to change some of this. I don't care about battery voltage. So let's get rid of that. Select new PID. We're going to change battery voltage to EGT. Okay. So now, instead of batteries, we're looking at exhaust gas temperature, which is important. You know, that and engine coolant temp, when you're towing or when you're doing, you know, spirited driving, you don't want to melt things down. I want to see the wheel speed during the burnout just because. What else? We got transmission fluid temp, that's good. Boost, RPM, EGT, coolant temp, air inlet temp. That's pretty good. I mean, there's a bunch of other things you can change on this. Like, we scroll down here, we can change the background. I don't like the way your layout is. Let's change that. Layout. Let's go master. And hey, maybe you want to be high tech. Let's just go black. In the background here, look at all the gauges I got. Man. And look at this, I could be here all day exploring all the different functions that this thing does. You know, it will data log, it will do performance testing, it'll coach you on how to get better gas mileage as you're driving, it'll do engine diagnostics, it'll tell you when you need to do maintenance. I mean, it's a pretty incredible machine. Yeah, Mike, you've told us it'll do all this cool stuff, but does it make your truck run better? Well, let's find out. We'll put a stock tune in it. We'll run 0 to 60. And then we'll put it in extreme mode and do 0 to 60 and see if we pick up any performance. Well, there she is in stock mode. Took 462 feet and 8.9 seconds to go from a dead stop to 60 miles an hour. Now let's crank this baby up to level 4 and see what she'll do. Here we go, extreme. This ought to be fun. Nope, not going custom. We're gonna use Edge's tune. Alright, here we go. Let's wait for a break in traffic here. And we're off. Ew, boy. Almost harder. Look at that. Picked up over a second in ET and got to 60 miles an hour about 100 feet sooner. Thing works. And it rolls coal. There was definitely some smoke there. Well, there we go. I dig it. I'm stoked on the camera. I'm stoked on the CTS2. I'll do another video later on when I actually use this thing to its full capability. I'm gonna wire up the rear airbags to this thing and show you how to operate it using the built-in digital switches.